Okay, I got it. I'm setting a couple of things up, so I'm doing exactly the way I need to. Just bear with me. Got it.
I'm bearing with you.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
my
love you
God.
too.
Yeah.
Oh, we are an Abbott and Costello, aren't we? All right. Good morning, everybody. Let's just take a couple of deep breaths. We'll get ready for lesson 54. It's Wednesday, February 23rd. We'll get started at, I'm going to say 6:37. Maybe a little sooner. All right. I'd say we get into it here. Workbook lesson 54. Everything I think or say or do touches all of the universe. Today, it's lesson summary 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. These are the review ideas for today. Lesson 16. I have no neutral thoughts. Neutral thoughts are impossible because all thoughts have power to create and extend the truth or to imagine the false. See, I messed something up here. I'm just going to fix this real quick. Here we go. I was covering up the book. Neutral thoughts are impossible because all thoughts have power to create and extend the truth and imagine and make the false. Thoughts will either make a false world or lead me to the real one based on love and unity. But thoughts cannot be without effects. As the world I see arises from my ego's thinking errors, so will the real world rise before my eyes as I let my egoic errors be corrected. My thoughts can not be neither true nor false. They must be either true or my thoughts are false. What I see shows me which ones they are. If I see a fearful, insane world, my thoughts are false because they're not shared with the mind of God. Lesson 17, I see no neutral thought things. What I see witnesses to what I think. If I did not think, I would not exist. because life is thought. Let me look on the world I see as the representation of my own inner state of mind. If I see a fearful world, my thoughts are representing my ego's fear-based thought system. I know that my state of mind can change. I can choose to follow a different, non-fear-based thought system. And so, I also know the world I see can change as well. Lesson 18, I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. If I have no private thoughts, I cannot see a private world. Even the mad idea of separation had to be shared with other split minds who believed the separation to be real before it could form the basis of the fearful and meaningless world I egoically see. Yet that sharing of non-real thoughts was a sharing of nothing. I can also call upon my real thoughts, which share everything with everyone. As my thoughts of separation call to the separation thoughts of others, so my real thoughts awaken the real thoughts in the split-minded who have perceived themselves to be separate from their source. And the fearless world my real thoughts show me will dawn on their sight as well as mine. Lesson 19. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I am alone in nothing. Everything I think or say teaches all of the universe. And if we happen to have a perceptive little child around us, they're going to pick up exactly what we're thinking, whether we want them to or not. A son or child or daughter of God cannot think or speak or act in vain. A son of God cannot be alone in anything because the separation is not real. Since everything I think or say or do teaches all of the universe, it is therefore in my power to change every mind along with mine. For mine is the power of God. Lesson 20. I am determined to see. Recognizing the shared nature of my thoughts, I'm determined to see with true vision. I would look upon the witnesses for a thought system based on love. A thought system based on love that shows me the thinking of the fearful, egoic world has been changed. I would behold the proof that what has been done through me has enabled love to replace fear, laughter to replace tears, abundance to replace loss. I would look upon the real world and let the real world of love, laughter, and abundance teach me that my will and the will of God are one will. And that is our lesson number 54. And I've got some notes to read, and then I'll give us a meditation to follow. But I want to say good morning, everybody. How is everybody this morning? Torrance, how you doing? Louisa, Stephanie, Tricia, it's great to see you guys. Thanks for joining us. Sounds like the music may have stopped. Oop, I can hear it tinkling off in the distance. Can y'all hear me? Everybody hear me?
Yes, yes. And the music is okay. It's just that there's some the filter that you played. There's some parts that gets
It's
down.
very tinkly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's all good. I'm hearing it.
Okay. Good enough.
Good morning. I have a quick question. Which version of the course are you reading from?
A Course in Miracles Workbook for Dummies. I've got it up on the screen in the recording. It's written by Tom Wakechild, who's a great author, done a good job of kind of making it easy for us to piece these things together. You can get it from his website or order on Amazon. I think we've got a couple of different ways. Try and make it a little bit easier to get a hold of it.
But these are notes, which Lee is now going to read. What
I
Lee
just
read
finished
up till
reading.
now. The notes you are about to read.
Yep.
What you finished reading was the actual lesson, and that was pretty much the same thing in the purple book or the blue book. So
Sorry, I'm following with
It's
both the purple
radically
book.
different. I don't want to say it's radically different. It's got everything in there that the purple book or the blue book, those are
that's
exactly
right.
the same. But in regards to the Course in Miracles for Dummies, what that's done is that replaces the actual
Pronouns.
unclear references. So, like,
Yeah.
if you read a sentence, it would say, the neutral thoughts are impossible because all thoughts have the power to create. That would be the end of it. But, or have power. That's, it would say the neutral thoughts are impossible because all thoughts have power, period. This will say neutral thoughts are impossible because all thoughts have power to create and extend the truth or imagine to make the false. So it clarifies the actual terms so that you don't have the level confusion. If you don't have that clarification, what will happen will be you'll think that maybe all thoughts are impossible because they all have power, but you won't really understand what they're talking about. You won't realize that whenever they talk about, for example, like where it says something about vision, it would just say see. So what it does is it has every word in the regular lesson, but it adds clarification to it. For example, like when it says it probably says it says the Son of God, and whenever those things are in bold, that means that it's replaced. It probably says just you cannot be alone in anything. Okay, but this will say a son of God cannot be alone in anything because the separation is not real. If you didn't really have that son of God, you would just perhaps think my body cannot be alone to in anything, and it wouldn't really tell you why you can't be alone. It's because the separation is not real. So then it will go on, and in this case it says, since everything I think is, I think or say or do is all the universe, which is, repeat, it is therefore in the uh, power to change every mind along with mine, or mine is the power of God. So what it does, and those things in bold are the additions or the clarifications. So to say that it's the same as the blue book or the purple book, the blue book and the purple book lessons are exactly the same word for word. This is the same, has all the words in there that the purple or the blue book has, but it has clarification. So that's why when you see it and those things are in bold, those are things that are clarifications too, or often give reasons for why they're saying those things. So it's designed to clarify and not allow people to slip into level confusion, especially whenever it talks about seeing. It'll say seeing, if it's really talking about true vision, seeing the truth, it will clarify that. So to say that they're the same is just not true at all.
You're
Nate,
correct, Tom.
that's just
Thank you.
you know,
I,
yeah.
I
So
wasn't.
just wanted to
You
make that
clarified.
clarification, because that's why if you're following from the blue book or the purple book, you'll see a lot of quote unquote additions. Those are just clarifications. Everything that's in there in the other books are in these Dummies version, and it's just clarification. So
All
thank you
right.
for
Thank you.
asking the question, and I wanted to
I feel
clarify that,
clear.
because
Everybody
a lot
feeling
of times
clear?
it doesn't seem like they make that distinction, and why they're reading from this is because it will make it a whole lot clearer. Okay, thank you for the question.
All
Trish,
right.
are you okay, right? With
Yeah, I think she's all right. I think we made it abundantly clear.
Yeah, I'm all good. I'm following along with my books here, and I was like, oh wait, I noticed it didn't match up exactly, but I get it. It's all good. It's clarification. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So,
Time
just
to
to
read
make
the
it,
notes then.
thank you, Dad. Thanks for the direction. Gotcha.
Oh, and Lee, when you read the notes, uh,
Yeah,
try and make sure, since especially on these summary notes, it's not like the other ones where it was just one cohesive idea. This one has, different points. So read the numbers of the various ones, like number one, number two, whatever. I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
you got it, Tom. Can do. And I am reading from A Course in Miracles Workbook for Dummies. For all the rest of us. Oh, got that wrong part wrong. So on the screen, for those who are following along from the link above, you will clearly see the title of the book I'm reading from. And if you need any additional information, I can put links to things on acourseinmiracles.live, the link that's above. So I will use that as a place for us to be able to get to the books. So if you want your own copy, we can work that out. In the meantime, I'm going to read from what I've got in front of me. And if you want to follow along, you can just click on the link.
Well,
All right.
just let me just say something. If someone
Sure, Tom.
wants a sample of the Dummies version, they could just go to endingfear.org or understandingacim.org and look at the free resources and just download the sample of Course in Miracles for Dummies, and that would have the text and also the workbook. So you could just download it for free, and if you want to just go to endingfear.org or understandingacim.org and look at the free resources. Thank you.
And I can add links to this, to the site. All right. I think I'm all set if you guys are ready. Lesson 16. So these are the notes from Tom's book, Course in Miracles Workbook for Dummies. I have links to it upstairs. Another link up above. Lesson 16, I have no neutral thoughts. Lesson 17, I see no neutral things. Lesson 18, I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. Lesson 19, I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. Lesson 20, I'm determined to see. Number 1, life is thought. Thoughts raised to the level of a belief are always the cause and what results or manifests is the effect. By the use of projection, the ego's thought system entraps the mind into believing what is outside the mind is the cause, and that the mind is an innocent victim of the outside world. The goal of the ego is to maintain your belief that your mind is powerless and is not the source of all you perceive. The Holy Spirit's goal is to reawaken the decision-making part of your mind to decide differently and freely choose to follow the thought system of the Holy Spirit. The thought system of the Holy Spirit is based on love and forgiveness. Number 2, the egoic world we see is really a thought projection. Our thoughts come first. Thoughts, which are based on our individual beliefs, are the cause, and what we believe we see is their effect. What we claim to see are really thought images that we project into our dream world of provisional reality. Our senses are utilized as verifying devices for our projected thoughts. Our projected thoughts are reflected back to us when our senses find that something that fits the predetermined goal. Because of our ability to make a physical world based on our view of separation and limitation, our senses will always discover some false witness to confirm our projected thought. Our senses ignore any witness that does not support its story. This is how we make our perceived world of provisional reality. So the witnesses we're talking about here is like if I get in a fight with somebody, I need to make them the enemy. I need to find what they did wrong and then ignore what I did wrong so that I create a witness to what I believe, right? So I'm going to listen carefully for the evidence that the other person says that supports my thought. I'm going to ignore any nice things they say and hold on to the negatives. That's what he means by witness. So just I might have just needed that clarification for myself. All right. Thoughts are things. The thought always comes first. It's the cause of what we perceive. What we perceive is the effect on that judged thought. When thoughts are judged, they are raised to the level of a belief. Your mind then endows that thought with the power to impact how you relate your world. Right? We create the world we're thinking about because our thoughts guide what we perceive. Under the ego's thought system, we falsely are led to believe that what is outside of us comes first and is the cause for our thoughts. This helps ensure that we will continue to believe that we are the innocent victims that lack the creative power to handle a given situation. This induces fear and results in our belief that we are not the causative agent of our world. We can only react to outside forces that are beyond our control. Rather than you being the writer, director, star, and editor for your story, you're reduced to a mere actor in your own stage play. Part 3. Our world of provisional reality is a neutral learning device. It is neither good nor bad. Our thoughts give what we perceive its characteristic of good or bad. Those are our judging thoughts, right? Whether we perceive something as good or bad, it serves to confirm the goal's ego of proving that we're separate, usually that the other guy is an asshole, and that we're completely innocent, washed, pure, and clean. Oh, perception requires duality. It needs both a perceiver and something to perceive. It means we're not a oneness. Perception belongs to the thought system of the ego. Since we have forgotten our divine birthright, we're incapable of correctly judging what we perceive. Correct perception is only recovered when we choose to follow the thought system of the Holy Spirit. The thought system of the Holy Spirit has the ability to reinterpret our perceived reality by utilizing our experiences as neutral learning devices, not good or bad. Our experiences are reinterpreted with love and forgiveness, and they now become the tool that's used to correct our wrong perception. Forgiveness is the correcting device used by the Holy Spirit to return us to right-mindedness. Part 4. Fantasies have no ability to change the truth. Truth just is. Truth does not need your agreement to make it true. The ego wants us to place meaning, either good or bad, on our meaningless dream world. This placing of meaning on the dream by the dreamer gives the imaged
Imaged.
thought.
Yeah.
I know. It just feels better as imagined. The
It does.
imaged thought,
Imagined would
the
have been the
appearance
same
of
thing.
being real. Thank you. But it is imaged. If we buy into the belief that our dream is real, it appears so within our mind. It becomes our world of provisional reality. This imagined inner world seems real to the dreamer, but remains unknown in the mind of God. God does not deal in dreams. Truth, or reality, is the only realm of God. Part 5. Because our minds are truly connected as a oneness, we cannot be alone in truth. Truth is the sharing of all that God created as God created it. Truth is the basis for real thought, which is the thought we shared with the mind of God. Our non-real thoughts are not shared with the mind of God. Our non-real thoughts are only shared with other delusional minds who believe that separation, lack, and limitation are real. There's a couple of us out here. Your non-real thoughts that you perceive to be private thoughts make your dream world of provisional reality. Yet even in these private thoughts, you are never alone, since there is always the requirement of a perceiver and something to perceive. Private thoughts always require the duality of at least two items. Projection, which is the tool that we use to make our provisional reality, requires something outside of itself so that its projected thought can be reflected back to the perceiver, and thus confirmed by the senses as real. This allows the projected thought to appear as if it was coming from outside the mind of the perceiver. Even the belief of separation is a shared experience due to the connection and oneness of minds, whether my thoughts are under the influence of ego or the Holy Spirit. The effects of my thoughts are shared with my brother. Projection, section 6. Projection is image making. First, we have a private thought. This thought is judged and raised to the level of a belief. We then send out or project that prejudged thought into the outside world as an image. This image then finds or makes the outside image that conforms to the projected image. This is then reflected back to the senses that confirm the preconceived image as real and being outside of the perceiver. Projection is perception's tool that your mind utilizes to confirm its preconceived notion of reality. Your ego first makes up these false witnesses, then claims these images prove the reality of separation. Seven, since we're split-minded, we need to request guidance from the Holy Spirit. If we are to see with true vision, when asked, the Holy Spirit will reinterpret what we erroneously perceived through the ego's eyes of fear. False perception will be transformed into correct perception. Inspired by the Holy Spirit, we will replace false seeing with the vision of truth or Christ. Forgiveness is the tool utilized by the Holy Spirit's thought system to help us reestablish our true self. It is this big S self that is shared with our brothers and sisters. All right, let's take a moment to turn our attention to where our body is touching the surface beneath us. Let your spine get lengthened out so it can grow nice and long, and you can take a nice deep breath. As you take that first big cleansing breath, start to get into a pattern where you're breathing in for 4 seconds, holding it for 4 seconds, breathing out for 4 seconds, and then you can breathe in again. Or if you feel like stretching a little bit, hold that out breath so that there's no air in your lungs. Because when you take that next breath, it will feel cool and cleansing and refreshing. It's going to give you a sense of peace and relaxation. And I'll bring us together in meditation and repeat our ideas for the day. And we'll be prepared and ready for our day and off to the races by about 7:10. Ready to engage February 23rd for a beautiful day. Welcome to the meditation. I invite you to straighten your spine. Gently pull your shoulders down and back. And if you can, gently close your eyes. We're going to do a 4-second box breath. Breathing in for 4, holding the breath in for 4, breathing out with control for 4, and holding the exhale for 4, if you can. So on your next inhale, please take a deep breath, filling your belly completely. And we'll exhale slowly and completely. Or an inhale deeply. And exhale with control for 1, 2, 3, 4. Take a nice deep breath. Fill your belly, fill your lungs. Hold that breath. And exhale with control. And observe your body falling on your exhale. And take a nice deep breath and observe your body rising with your inhale. Your breathing is the basis the foundation of your control over your whole system. You are empowering this body to do your bidding, to help you learn the lessons you're here for. Slowly and easily, one day at a time, we've been learning all along, and every step we've taken has gotten us to where we're at today, which is a pretty fantastic spot if you can relax and listen to my voice. You're definitely winning at the game of life. Today, I'm determined to see things differently. It's how tomorrow's lesson is going to start. But today, I have no neutral thoughts, and I see no neutral things. And I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of what I see. I have no private thoughts, and I can't peep into a private world. So even that tiny mad idea of separation had to be shared before it would form the basis of the world I see. So I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. In fact, I'm not alone in anything. Everything I think or say touches all of the universe. A child of God cannot think or speak or act in vain. We cannot be alone in anything. It's therefore in my power to change every mind along with mine, for mine is the power of God. And today I am determined to see, recognizing the shared nature of my thoughts. Today, I'm determined to see. I will look upon the witnesses that show me the thinking of the world has been changed. I will behold the proof that what has been done through me has enabled love to replace fear, laughter to replace weeping, and abundance to replace loss. I would look upon the real world and let it teach me that my will and the will of God are one. And when you're ready, let's take another couple of deep breaths. We're going to come back to center and come back to our real world. Now we can use the breath to build up some energy. So let's take some quicker breaths, all right? Breathe in for 2. Hold that for a minute and breathe out with good control. And then breathe in for 2. These are quicker, almost approaching pranayama breaths. Breathing out quickly. We're going to build up a little bit of energy. Come back to our conversation. Come back to sharing a little bit with our friends before we go out and have a magnificent day today. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me this morning here on Clubhouse. We're showing up at about 6:30, getting started about 6:37. Today was Workbook Lesson 54. If you missed it, it was Everything I Think or Say or Do Touches All the Universe. The replay will be available when we're done at the link above. And you guys can join us during the day in either our Facebook or the link above has a Discord channel that I'm in. If you guys need to chat, I'm around. So here we are. I hope everybody's feeling great. Yesterday's 2-2 Tuesday was awesome. Today is Woo 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 Wednesday. Hump Day. Good morning, everybody. Somebody else say something.
Well, that was a wonderful meditation. Thank you very much, Holly. It's beautiful.
Hump
Yeah, Steph's
day.
agree as well. And there's some really issues that I'm amazed by this book. This book is such a wonderful thing to have because it's like each day has become really something different in time for me. I'm not longer thinking in days like Monday, Tuesday. Well, I do for the sake of my daughter's life, but I'm not longer like having my time like so structured like Monday, Tuesday, because really all we have is a day. All we have is the now. This 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 day is what we have. And if you are determined to see, you will understand that your will and God's is one. So you need to always make a decision during your day, even if the content of the day is really scary. Is building this muscle that you are not going to host any longer the fear, and you're gonna host God instead. So each day will present itself like with some form of fear, and we will always have to just come back home to that place where you are truly, 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 truly in the knowing that your will and God is one. So whatever you decide to do and whatever you decide to see with your eyes, if you feel that you are just a sack of bones and this body that you have, well, you will have this content like this content of fear in your day. But if you go beyond and you always go and seek God, you will always find peace and joy and laughter, and you will have help during your day. It just requires this strong determination to see God and host God instead of fear. Because we are living in duality, and in duality you will have this contrast in each day, in each activity that you have. So you just need to make room. All the content in my week has been like fearful things to experience. Fearful things around my health, fearful things around the situation with my ex-husband, fearful things around my new love, beautiful love. And every time that I look at those and I stand in front of them, I'm not longer really willing to witness that. I mean, I am seeing it with my eyes, but I'm not longer viewing it as the truth. So this week has been really challenging in several ways, and I'm really like finding my way always back to that, because I'm determined to see myself as the home of love. So I don't get disappointed of anything unless that content is not loving. I will not get disappointed unless that content is not loving. So whenever I have a not loving situation, I will just go into my mind and say, well, the fear is not longer welcome here, and I am the home of love. And I will still love, and I will still have hope and trust that for whatever is worth what I'm going through, or the people I love is going through, I will not longer seeing that with fear. So I'm having this full week, this challenge to just be really, really, really determined to see that my will and God's is one. So I always have to be pointed at my perception of love among everything. So thank you. Thank you. And I know that I'm not the only one to experience the effects of my thoughts. And I know that I'm not the only one to experience the way I see, and I don't see neutral things, and I don't have neutral thoughts. So if I go backwards in these 5 things, I will have my answer. Because if I am determined to see only God, all the thoughts that I have will be God's. All the things that I see will be God's. So I wanted to share that because everything is about reversing your point of view.
I can add to that.
Oh,
Well, just when you were talking, everything was coming back to me about when I was realizing a lot of the thoughts that were in my head were like my mom's or like the societies around me, and they were so automatic and so fast in my head. It was like when you open an app and it just kept, like all the thoughts kept coming. Whenever I would go to meditate, all the thoughts would just flood my head. And I remember one of the biggest things that helped me was to reverse engineer where they came from. And I know this sounds not crazy, but I'm sure people have done this before. My mom's name is Patricia. I feel like that's a very common name for our parents. And so every time a thought would come up in my head, I would ask myself, is this Patricia's thought or is it mine? And after a while, with a lot of tools and breathing, I was able to slow down the thoughts long enough to understand if they were mine or not. And a lot of what I found was it was a lot of the input coming in from around me. A lot of it was my parents' thoughts and my generational thoughts and the world's thoughts. And it was all kind of programmed into me. And I believe that's kind of what happens to all of us when we're not conscious of it. And in the first few steps of just sitting down and trying to calm all the thoughts down, I just remember that was the biggest things that helped me, just realizing that there's a few different things going on inside my head. And that if you're really still, like the water, if you're able to calm the water down, then you can see the bottom of the water. And so I just wanted to add that in there because that was just a little tip that I used, because all of these lessons, that's just what kept coming up for me. So thank you for today.
Thank you, Stephanie. That was very good. When the older we get, the more garbage we pick up. So fortunately, we also are able to generalize a lot of the garbage, a lot of versus the helpful new stuff. And so it's kind of a built-in filter system that we grow as we go along. And we don't have to accept things that are given to us, even in as a helpful, friendly piece of advice that people like to give us. That's almost always ego trying to become in charge. I have a niece. I mentioned it in the very beginning. I don't know if you might have heard it. And she made a comment about what I'm working on with the country of Liberia. And basically, of course, it's about Black people in general. I'm certainly not Black. My partner is Black, and it's his country and everything, but my purpose for being there is quite different. On the smaller level, the lower level, but on the larger level, it's identical. And from her point of view, and she's much younger than I am, it was Bob, or Uncle Bob in this case. It's not really good form for you to do what you're doing. And that kind of statement is so wacko and so nuts that I was quickly able to dismiss it. And frankly, not out loud, but to myself, laugh at it, because form has nothing to do with what's going on. And we use that word form in different ways, but she used it in a different way from the way we usually think of content versus form. You know, the form is maybe the clothing you're wearing, but the content is what you're thinking about. And I'm not really that interested in form, other than I wish I had more hair on my head sometimes, but I think I've decided to
Better to
just
dispense
about
with that
decided
thought.
to shave it off in the middle. It's just not important anymore. It's more of a nuisance, and so I probably will. But that's a great way of looking at it, Stephanie. I like the way that you put it together, because we do have to review these things. We have to look at what's coming in and not allow any thought to come in that we haven't really checked out first. Also, I think in the very beginning of this reading from the book, I forget the exact phrase, but it was, we all know what, Tom will tell me who the philosopher was, but it was, I think, therefore I am. I think it was Descartes.
Yes, that was Descartes.
That's right. And thank you, Stephanie. Tom, actually, we're looking at him. I'm looking at him right now, and I think he's still meditating. So he goes deeper. It takes him longer to get out. I don't know. But anyway, I think, therefore, I am is almost exactly um, what the words in this original, the notes and everything said. And if you're thinking, then you are. If you're copying what other people are thinking, you're not thinking. So we become who we are, and we learn even who we are as we think about the things that other people say to us. And that kind of introspection is extremely important. Politically, that is rarely done. In many cases, people just kind of go along with the group or the particular side of the politics that they're on, and they don't really think independently. John McCain, for example, was just a really good example. And that's the kind of people that we always need in our life, who are thinking individually for themselves. I really don't have much need for people who think like everybody else, because I'm not like everybody else. However, we can still all be one if I'm thinking my thoughts in a loving way and in a forgiving way. So I can forgive my niece for the way she sees it. It's just the way life is. That people are coming at us, in a sense, from all different levels, and I don't expect to have to agree with everybody.
And it's
And
part,
anybody
and
who
it's part
thinks,
because it's part of your mind as well. I'm gonna give,
yeah,
when you finish, I'm gonna give an example of this that happened to me last night with my daughter. But go ahead.
I'm finished, and I would love to hear what happened with you and your daughter.
Yeah, everything is part of you. I mean, you get to forgive that in fact, because it is part of your splitted mind. Whatever she said to you that gets you like this kind of, oh, that's interesting. It's something that you didn't recognize within you, so it's presenting itself in front of you in order for you to just acknowledge it. And that's the way you forgive it. Last night, I mean, with my daughter, I always have this like ritual, if you want to say it like that, that whenever she's going to bed, I always ask her to give grace for something. So what are we going to be grateful for today? And she starts saying things like, well, I'm going to be grateful for my nanny or my school friends or whatever, right? And there's some times where she gets really, really deep and she starts to say like, I'm going to give thanks because my grandpa Roberto is now resting at peace with God. I'm going to say thank you because my mom is the best mom in the world. Well, things, beautiful things. And she said that last night. She has been seeing me with Lee all day, while we spend our days together while he's working and I do as well. So she interacts with the content that my life has right now. Even though she doesn't understand English quite well, she knows that mommy is now in love. So she last night said to me, well, I'm going to give thanks because mom has found her, her life, the love of her life. And I was,
Wow.
wow. And I was, wow. And then she started to say beautiful things about me and how she was seeing like this love around me, right? But then she said, but mommy, I still have these kind of fear thoughts in my head, and I cannot say it because they are bad words. So I was, well, inside of me, I was, oh my God, what is in this little mind now? So I was feeling like inside of me, like, let's see what the content of these thoughts are. So I didn't express her any like kind of reaction of what she was saying because I put my hands like if I was going to receive her thoughts in my hands, like she was whispering in my hands. So I put my hands and said, let's whisper those thoughts here in my hands, and then we're going to, if they are bad, we will trash them in the garbage. We will give it to the garbage because they are trash. So you can say that you're safe here. And she started to say, she started to say, you are the worst man in the world. Men, you are the worst man in the world. You're the worst dad in the world. And I was, oh my God, inside of me, I couldn't react to her like that. So I was inside of me saying, oh my God, this little girl is having these thoughts inside of her, and I didn't even notice it. And she started to say like, you're the worst man in the world, the worst dad. I don't want you, or something like that. And she started to say that in my hands. So I just took her to the trash bin and I said, well, let's put this into the garbage. And then I put my hands again and I started to say, my dad is the best dad in the world. He is a strong man. He is the most intelligent man in the world. And he loves me very much. And I passed my hands to her. I was trying to put the hands in, saying, now this, and she just grabbed the hands and eat the words. She just grabbed my hands and made like this movement, like she was going to eat these words because she wanted those words inside of her. And I had to talk to her, and I started to say to her, well, baby, whatever you have experienced between mommy and dad, it has your dad loves you very much, and it's such a different kind of relationship that you shouldn't let those thoughts inside of you. So whenever you have them, it's good for you to express them in some way, in some loving way, in order for you just to release them, and we will just exchange them for something that makes you feel closer to your dad, because your dad loves you and has nothing to do with my relationship with him. So she was happy, and then she grabbed some coins, some US coins, because she was handling some coins, and she started to say good things to the coins, and she gave me one, and she went and gave another one to his dad. So it was like this kind of experience that I had last night, that I have no neutral thoughts, and I see no neutral things, and I'm not alone experiencing the effects of my seeing and my thoughts. My daughter, even though she's really well aware that mommy doesn't want any conflict with his dad, of course she sees and she hears and she is like sharing my mind. I never said that I hate him, because I don't express myself like that ever towards anybody. I never like to say I hate things. I mean, that word is not in my language. But she picks up all the conflict, and she was having those thoughts in her head, and I wasn't even aware. But yeah, of course, if she sees mommy being affected by his daddy's interaction, of course she will have that kind of mindset. So as I am determined to see, I really appreciate the opportunity that I had last night, that God gave me the opportunity to see that content in my daughter's mind, because Naya got the opportunity to reverse it in some form in order for her just to put order in her mind, because those thoughts are we will always have fear in our day in some form, but we have to be determined to see only love, only the light on things. And we can now grab those kind of contents and just reverse it. Stephanie was saying the other day, like, yeah, and it's true. I mean, energy doesn't go away. You just need, if you need to move from fear to love, you need in some form trying to switch the energy, try to replace the energy in order for you to have different perspective and experience on things. So I wanted to share that because it's another way to have these kind of examples on how your own content, even though it's not explicit to other minds pick that up, and it's even stronger when they are your relatives. If you're having people who you love and you live with, and you just insist on not love, on not loving thoughts, other people will be drawn into that kind of situation. So you need to just be determined all day long, each day on your life, to see the truth that it's there and express yourself inside of you, like, well, this is fearful, this is scary, or this is something that I don't like, but I'm determined to see where is the love of God. I am the home of love. I am the home of God, and the love. I am the home of love, and everything starts to rearrange in some form. So I wanted to share that because it was a beautiful example to me for this lesson that I'm seeing right now on the screen.
That's a beautiful story. The statement that says, "I have no neutral thoughts," is a very interesting statement because it all depends upon what level you're at. And I'm thankful for Tom's notes to this effect. The, the level that we're at doesn't have neutral thoughts. In other words, you can get a picture in your mind of a person, but your thoughts about those come flooding in and have you characterize that person as a good person, a bad person, or whatever. It's never neutral, because when you're starting off with the Course in Miracles, we're full of judgments about everything, because that the ego has been in charge, or we've let the ego be in charge. And what we do is neutralize a lot of these thoughts. And that's exactly what you did in a beautiful way, in a way that's very understandable for a child, for your 6-year-old daughter, to understand that you can love everybody, because that's where we're going. We're heading to that point where there's a neutrality, and we are now able to express with the Holy Spirit more alive in our thinking, that we're in love with other people, that we honor other people, that we value other people. Everybody has a place, and it neutralizes the sting out of anything. I think it's just amazing, the story you just told, because it so clearly shows a very important aspect. I think a great way to bring up a kid. Speaking of kids, I noticed that Dean just showed up.
Dean is here.
Yeah, Dean is
Oh,
Lee's little guy up in Boston. So anyway, thank you for that, Adriana. That was really, really special.
yeah.
I thought Adriana's story uh, is a good example of thoughts. You know, the idea that thoughts never leave the source, but that thoughts can be shared. And what Adriana did there was a situation where, rather than come from the ego, which I would think a lot of people would come from and say, hey, yeah, you're right. This is a terrible person, because you are typically coming from the idea that You want to have people agree with you and see your viewpoint. And if you're having a domestic dispute or whatever, you realize that actually here's somebody that's saying something that would give you justification for what you're doing. And rather than slip into the ego and, confirm that and say, yes, that's a good example of why, we need to, separate or whatever it might be, came from a different, a higher vision of what we truly are, that we're all just actors in our own journey, strutting around on the stage, performing various parts and roles so that we can all grow and learn. And rather than confirm her daughter's opinion, she said, here's another way of looking at things. Can we look at it through, we could say, the eyes of love as opposed to the eyes of fear and separation, and see all people as beloved children of God with whom she's well pleased? And that, what Adriana did there was a situation where that could have a tremendous impact on her daughter's life going forward, because rather than confirm a fear-based belief, she held out a higher vision, and perhaps a higher vision of her husband, because we all write an ego for everybody and everything. She had a higher vision, and that gives the daughter the option to see things differently, rather than just have a situation where she could have just said, yes, you're right. Isn't he a terrible person? Blah, blah, blah. And uh, when we confirm other people's negative views of their world or their judgments, that strengthens the belief. When we throw out a different possibility that allows them to question that idea and the things, is, for them to say, is my belief really true? Is there another way of looking at it? And Course in Miracles is mind training, trying to see things from love as opposed to the ego side of separation, needing to be right rather than needing to be happy. The ego always would prefer that that it is right, rather than look after your inner peace and happiness. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah, that summarizes my entire experience last night. And I guess it is like Steph said, because I did that. In fact, not only because I'm a Course in Miracles student now, and I am applying. I'm not reading this book. I'm applying this book in my life. I'm experiencing the book. It's not just that. It's just that my mom, when we were younger, I come from a family, a dysfunctional family, as everybody perhaps, but my dad was an alcoholic, and he really mistreated my mom. And my mom had to take us I was like at the age of my daughter right now, and my mom had to take us away from him, like out of the sudden, because she now felt for some situation in the house, she felt that we were in danger. So she took us, one morning we were at school, and when we go out, my mom pick up us and took us to another place, and that was it. We started living with my mom only, and she just explained that we wouldn't be no longer living with my dad, but that he was going to be always part of our lives. And my mom never told us about her, him, and she always gave us the idea that our dad will always be our dad, and we needed to love him, honor him, and be around his family forever, because he was our dad. Took her problem into our world. And in fact, that gave us the opportunity to grow up with a lot of help from my uncles and my aunts when my dad couldn't because of his problems. So my mom really was the first example that I had on having this really mindset of not hating, even though she was super mistreated and super, yeah, it was violence and all those things. So I guess I was honoring my mom as well in that form because she really gave me this mindset of, I don't know, I just never thought about anybody in a form of hate. I always said this to my mom. It's just that I don't see anybody ugly. It's just nobody's ugly. Everybody's different. It's just that. But nobody's ugly, and I don't. My biggest conflict when I jumped into the course, when the course appeared into my life, was because at the edge. Sorry, I was at the edge of feeling that I was going to start hating men, and I didn't want to, and I was in that kind of battle inside me, in my heart and in my mind, and I was really in the deep, profound conflict within me that I don't want to hate men, but it seems that everything is happening outside of me. It's making me hate men, and I don't want to do that. Please, God, help me. I don't want to have this. How am I going to teach my daughter how to love men if I don't know how to do it myself? And that's when everything started to happen around me, and the course appeared. And then I know for sure, because this Course in Miracles is all about that, and having this having this mindset, like validation on that mindset. So I'm always grateful for my mom. My mom is my bigger supporter. She has been having more trust in me and faith in me than I ever had for myself. And I see that in so many places now. I mean, Lee's mom is, I heard her yesterday, and I was in love with her mom as well. I'm just knowing now that really love is the only determination that you need to have in your life, and the only content that you need to teach children from this young age is teach them to always take the garbage out. That's another thing that it's very important in this lesson, is that you need to express it, because if you let your thoughts, your fear thoughts inside of you, because you think that they are not worth it or they are bad and nobody will have them here, and if you don't let them out, it will stay inside of you and do another kind of conflict within you, diseases, another kind of conflict. So whenever you can, and if you have fearful thoughts or situations that you just have to deal with, it's always helpful for you to express it in some healthy way. You can paint, you can sing, you can dance, you can cry, you can call a friend, you can just find a way to let those out, because they will become some form in front of you, greater conflict if you don't do it like that. And if you just lay them down in some form, your body experience will be different, and you will start to see solutions instead the conflict, because that's the way you let the Holy Spirit enter within you and give you the tools that you need to see that has always been there for you, but you haven't been able to see it because you were so caught up with those inside of you, with those feelings and thoughts inside of you, that you couldn't even see it. So that's why it's so important to have this first session, these first lessons really done profoundly, because you need to really, it's like you need to disappear your universe. You need to understand that the universe is something that you can undone in order for the Holy Spirit to give you the view that everything can be truly only light and love and the kingdom of heaven. So I am determined to see I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my sin. And I see no neutral things, and I have no neutral thoughts, because now I only see God. So
Yeah.
now my daughter is here, so I'm going to close my mic and the other mic.
The the
That was
Course in
beautiful.
Miracles, comes from a different point of view than what we normally start out with. The Course in Miracles says that you're perfect, whole, and complete, and there's nothing that's ever been wrong with you, but that you may have a wrong plan. And because you have a wrong plan, you've slipped into fear-based thinking, or as the Course says, you forgot to laugh and made this excursion into a fear-based world real in your own mind. Uh, Now we have adopted a wrong plan, and all that we have to do is to realize that and move to a new plan, which would be the realization that we are part of that oneness of all that is. There's never anything been wrong with us. All we have to do is to learn how to remove all our fears about what we are. And so it comes from a different viewpoint. Most people in this world is predicated on, and yesterday we talked about the laws of chaos. Uh, the one of the second law of chaos is that uh, we believe that we're sinners, and therefore there's something wrong with us. The first law was that we believe that that truth varies from person to person. We have our own story. The the second law was that we're sinners. The third law was that God has bought into the idea that we're sinners, and therefore that there's something wrong with us. And the fourth was that everything that we have, we need to take. And the fifth was that uh, there is a substitute for love, that conditional love or fear-based love somehow is really love. But because we go with the idea that we're sinners, what we see ourselves with or other people, we come from the viewpoint that they are bad. It's not their plan that's bad, that they have become evil. And therefore, whenever we start arguing for our rightness, we start arguing for the evilness of them, as opposed to saying that their behavior was maybe something that we're not in support of, that it's their plan. So what the Course is trying to help us distinguish is to realize that we're all trying to minimize our fears. But the truth is that we are part of that oneness. We are perfect, whole, and complete, and that there's never been anything wrong with I or you. There can be something radically wrong with the plan that we're following or the thought system. And if we revolt against that fear-based thought system and adopt a thought system based on the truth of what we really are, then everything will change in our world, and our world of perception and provisional reality will change accordingly. You can live in a peaceful world in what seems to be to others a world of hate and fear. Thank you.
Thank you, Adriana and Tom and Lee and Lovely and Bob and everybody that's on this whole conversation. I've been studying the course for this is my 14th year, actually doing it every year. And what I see is I am aware of my thoughts, and I find myself canceling out negative thoughts instantly. However, life still shows up for us all. Example of my change reaction. I lost my wallet on the 20th. On the 21st, I called all my credit card companies and told them I had lost it and to cancel. However, on the 22nd, my bank account was cleared out. Normally, I would panic. If this would happen to me 5 or 6 years ago, I would be in total uproar, cursing and fussing and calling people, why didn't you do what I asked you to do? And blah, 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 blah. But I didn't, because I know that my source is God. And anything that man thinks that they have done can be corrected. It just takes time. Am I willing to be patient enough to have all my funds returned to all my accounts? Yes, I am. I did the right thing. I reported it, and someone even sent me pictures of who had my credit card. So I have pictures of these people who are running around the city using my cards when they can, which most of them have been canceled now. I'm extremely peaceful in this. It's really shocking to me that I am at peace with no cash available. And even if I did have cash in my accounts, I couldn't even get it. It's amazing how we change our behavior based upon the things that we have learned or believe to be true. And the Course teaches me I cannot be attacked. I am perfect, whole, and complete. And all things work in my favor, no matter how I might feel about it. Everything works in my favor. Have I learned lessons in this? Yeah. I've learned a lesson. One, don't carry everything around with you, period. You don't need it. Take only what you need, your ID, your health card, and maybe one credit card, right? Instead of walking around with everything in this big old packed wallet. Really? So I am grateful to what I have taken on as truth in my studies in A Course in Miracles and in the Bible, because it tells you have no fear no matter what it is. Don't fear it. Just stand up to it. So you immediately take actions to correct whatever is awry and do it in the most peaceful and calm way that you possibly can. And I can be that now. Had you caught me 10, 15 years ago, I probably would have been calling everybody and cursing, calling the police and putting my boys out, giving every gangster that I know in D.C., reacquaint myself to them and say, look for these people and kill them. Not now. I don't do that now. But rest assured, when people see that you or feel that you are alone, they will try anything to get you, But have no mistake, I am covered by the grace of God, no matter what goes on. Life is good and all is well. And I love the reviews because it only intensifies my ability to accept life and be all right with it. So I am complete. You guys are, as I always say, thebomb.com. Thank you for allowing me to share. And Adriana, I'm going to call you or have a conversation. I will put my number in your DMV or in this thing when I message you. Okay? Thank you guys. Have a blessed and glorious day.
Thank you, Rose. You're a piece of work. You're something else. By the way, DMV is Department of Motor Vehicles.
Yeah. She knew what I meant. I just messaged you, Adriana.
I know. We all do those kinds of things, and I laugh at myself when I do it. And it's because we're learning to be more flexible, and we can see that we still have some of the leftover pieces that we hadn't quite filtered out yet. And it makes life so much easier, though, because we can pull something in, like you said. Your first reaction was, "I'm going to get those," and we can cut it off at that point instead of letting it all go through us and come out and it be a mess. So it's pretty wonderful. So life isn't neutral because there's a whole bunch of people out there running around led by their egos. They got a ring in their nose and a string attached to that string, and their egos are just pulling them here and pulling them there.
Yeah.
And sometimes they come across our pathway. It still happens, but we are not down at that level. There's no level confusion, and we get better and better at that. George, who was here yesterday, last couple of days, he made a really big deal about level confusion before we actually started this room. And when he heard my approach to it, that we don't have to suffer from that. That level clarification, we needed that. That's almost always the approach to getting us to be in a better place than we are. If we spot it and then we do something about it, we come back from a higher level on the way to pure love, which definitely, as you both have said, that's at the top. That's the direction we're going in. Then it changes the whole thing and things start to work out better. It's a really good deal that life has given us. We've got a few joker cards in the hand. So those are my thoughts about that. But thank you for Rosie. I just love to hear you talk, and just you have such a joyful demeanor, and I can hear the smile in your face, and I see it on the picture on my phone too. So thank you for expressing that.
Thank you. But and life only gives us opportunities to become and use what we've learned in situations. I used to listen to Obama, and I'm not a political person, but I like to hear how people answer things, especially if you're at the top running the nation and that kind of thing. But what I loved about him was not so much what he said, but how he said everything. It's like whenever he got a question, you could see in his face his mind saying, what is the best way to answer this without stepping on everyone's toes? And his mind would begin to process. And then about 3 minutes later, he comes out with it. Unlike other people who just respond immediately and usually put their foot in it. I love that. But yeah, I try to be as happy and positive as I possibly can. But it's only the lessons that I have had to see and overcome or choose a different response that have taught me to more or less instantly go there in peace as opposed to rage and just hurting myself, complicating life. You know, I, some people say, Rosie, you've gone through a lot. Yeah, I have been and experienced a whole lot, but it ain't killed me yet. So if it hasn't killed me yet, listen, that which doesn't kill you, it's a saying or something. If it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger or something like that.
And that's right. In our case, it's if it doesn't kill you, it makes you more loving.
Yes, and that's where I am. So thank you for noticing it. I asked God a long time ago, please I want people to see you in me. So it's happening and I am grateful. And I'm not
Absolutely.
really doing anything but learning life's lessons.
And thank
And
you for
having a great
sharing
time.
the lessons you're learning. That's what this room is about. Because we can share. When we share something, then we don't lose it. Keep it, and we give it so someone else can also use it. it's the way to go. Hello, Sean. Welcome back. Welcome in for this morning.
Good
A
morning.
little late in waking up, I guess, huh?
Yeah, had a kid to bring to school and things to do in the morning. So,
I gotcha.
Wake shaming. It's terrible.
dude, I'll sleep shame because I know when Lee went to sleep last night.
That would be about 8:08.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Somebody said that I wasn't paying attention to the Who. I apologize, but somebody said that love was the top, and I would just say that oneness and joy and presence, peace, and non-duality would even be above that. You know that love is a beautiful thing to feel, but even from my experience, above that is just it is. And there was something said a couple of sessions ago about the formlessness of Christ and the formlessness of the spirit world. And somebody had said it's like a white light, and I really didn't understand that in the past very much. I just kind of thought, oh God, white light and all that. But if you think about it, there's two colors that have no form. One's white, one's black. The rest you can see shades, you can see depth, you can see a lot of other things. And so I choose to think of my Christ as light. And when I think about the ineffable sense and love and feeling, when I imagine that, um, I know I'm doing well because I can really feel just this amazing sense of joy. And that has changed in the last couple of months. So thank you folks for contributing to that.
Wow, that was good. That was really good. That's what we're about. We're glad everybody's come here today. It's 8 o'clock, top of the hour. Lee, you want to join in here? Bring us to conclusion.
Sure thing, Papa. No problem. I'm going to read through the lesson one more quick time, and then we can go about our day. We'll be back here tomorrow at about 6:30. Ready, willing, and able. Reading lesson 55. Yeah, 55. Okay. These are the review ideas for today. I have no neutral thoughts. Neutral thoughts are impossible because all thoughts have power. They'll either make a false world or lead me to the real one. But thoughts cannot be without effects. As the world I see arises from my thinking errors, so will the real world rise before my eyes as I let my errors be corrected. My thoughts cannot be neither true nor false. They must be either one or the other. What I see shows me what they are. I see no neutral things. What I see witnesses to what I think. It is impossible to see nothing, because it's impossible not to think. If I did not think, I would not exist, because being is thought. Let me look on the world I see as the representation of my own state of mind. I know that my state of mind can change, and I also know the world I see can change as well. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. If I have no private thoughts, I cannot see a private world. Even the mad idea of separation had to be shared before it could form the basis of the world I see. Yet that sharing was a sharing of nothing. I can also call upon my real thoughts, which share everything with everyone. As my thoughts of separation call to the separation thoughts of others, so my real thoughts awaken the real thoughts in them. And the world of my real thoughts show me, the world my real thoughts show me will dawn on their sight as well. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I'm alone in nothing. Everything I think or say or do touches all the universe. A son of God cannot think or speak or act in vain. He cannot be alone in anything. It is therefore my power to change every mind along with mine, for mine is the power of God. I'm determined to see. Recognizing the shared nature of my thoughts, I'm determined to see. I'd look upon the witness that showed me the thinking of the world has been changed. I would behold the proof that what has been done through me has enabled love to replace fear, laughter to replace weeping, and abundance to replace loss. I would look upon the real world and let it teach me that my will and the will of God are one. Have a wonderful day, everybody. We'll be here tomorrow.
Thanks. Have a good day, everybody.
Create a great day. Namaste.
Good meeting today.
Namaste. Have a fabulous, wonderful, profitable day, everyone. Peace and love.
Hi, Andy. Bye, Andy. It's good to see you even for a moment.